भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends, this is third video on the pain and sorrow. How pain and sorrow can be eliminated by using Advaita Vedanta spiritual methods. As we have already discussed, mind and ego, they are the main cause of pain and emotional sorrows. So, if we want bliss, happiness, and peace of mind, we have to destroy both mind and ego by using Advaita Vedantic Sadhanas. So, in this video, we will discuss how mind and ego can be destroyed according to Advaita Vedanta. In Advaita Vedanta, the dissolution or transcendence of the mind and ego is a fundamental aspect of spiritual realization. According to this philosophy, the mind and ego are products of ignorance, avidya, and identification with them leads to the cycle of birth and death, samsara, and the experience of suffering. Here are some key concepts and practices in Advaita Vedanta that lead to the dissolution of the mind and ego. 1. Self-inquiry, Atam Vichara. Self-inquiry is a foundational practice in Advaita Vedanta. Practitioners are encouraged to ask the question, who am I? And deeply investigate the nature of the self. Through rigorous self-examination and contemplation, one can discern the distinction between the eternal self, Atma, and the temporary aspects of the mind and ego. By realizing the true self as distinct from the ego, the identification with the ego diminishes. 2. Discrimination, Viveka. Discrimination between the eternal and the impermanent is crucial in Advaita Vedanta. Practitioners learn to discern between the unchanging reality Brahma and the ever-changing phenomena of the mind and ego. By understanding that the mind and ego are transient and illusory, one can gradually detach from them. Third, detachment, vairagya. Detachment involves cultivating a sense of dispassion towards the transient aspect of life, including the mind and ego. Practitioners learn to observe thoughts, emotions, and experiences without getting entangled in them. Through detachment, one can reduce the influence of the ego and gain a broader perspective on life. 4. Meditation and contemplation. Regular meditation and contemplation practices help calm the fluctuations of the mind by entering states of deep concentration and inner stillness. Practitioners can experience moments of egolessness. These experiences provide glimpses of the true nature of the self beyond the mind and ego. 5. Study of sacred text. Studying the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and other Advaitic texts under the guidance of a qualified teacher is essential. These texts provide profound philosophical insights and teachings on the nature of reality, the self, and the mind. Studying and reflecting on these texts can lead to a shift in one's understanding, weakening the grip of the ego. 6. Satsang, association with truth. Satsang refers to the company of enlightened beings or spiritual teachers. Being in the presence of realized individuals can have a transformative impact. Their presence and teachings often help aspirants experience a shift in consciousness, aiding in the dissolution of the ego. 7. Grace Guru Kripa. In Advaita Vedanta, grace is considered a powerful force that can lead to spiritual awakening. Devotees believe that the grace of the Guru or the Divine can remove the ignorance and ego, leading to self realization. It's important to note that the dissolution of the mind and ego is a gradual and transformative process that requires dedication, self discipline, and sincere spiritual practice. It often happens over time with consistent effort, guided by the teachings of enlightened masters and the aspirants' own direct experience and realization. 1. Surrender Prapatti, surrendering the ego and mind to a higher power or the divine is a central theme in Advaita Vedanta. By relinquishing the sense of personal doership and trusting in the cosmic intelligence or the Guru, practitioners let go of the ego's control. Surrender is not a passive act but an active acceptance of divine will over individual desires, leading to ego dissolution. 2. Neti Neti, not this, not this. The method of Neti Neti or not this involves negating all that is transient and impermanent. Practitioners systematically analyze their experiences, thoughts, emotions, and even the ego, recognizing them as objects of awareness rather than the true self. By negating all that is observable, practitioners realize the unchanging observer, the true self. 3. Jnana Yoga, path of knowledge. Jnana Yoga is the path of knowledge and wisdom. Through the study of scriptures, contemplation, and philosophical inquiry, practitioners develop a deep understanding of the nature of reality, the self, and the mind. This knowledge leads to the dissolution of ignorance, weakening the hold of ego and mind. 4. Advaita doctrine of non-origination. Advaita asserts that the world was never created. It always exists in a state of non-origination. Recognizing the illusory nature of creation, practitioners understand that the mind's creations, including the ego, are also part of this illusory reality. Realization of non-origination leads to the dissolution of the egoic identity. 5. Silence, Mona. Silence is considered a powerful practice in Advaita Vedanta. By observing silence, the mind's constant chatter is stilled. In the absence of verbal and mental noise, practitioners experience a deeper sense of awareness and can directly perceive the silent presence beyond the mind and ego. 6. Integration of Karma Yoga, path of selfless action. Karma Yoga emphasizes selfless service without attachment to the results of actions. By engaging in actions for the benefit of others and dedicating the results to a higher power, practitioners cultivate detachment from the fruits of their actions. This detachment weakens the ego's desires and attachments, facilitating its dissolution. 7. Purification, Chitta Shuddhi. Purification of the mind is crucial in Advaita Vedanta. Through practices like meditation, prayer, and self reflection, practitioners purify the mind from negative thought patterns, desires, and attachments. A purified mind is more receptive to spiritual truths and less prone to the ego's influences. 8. Direct experience, Anubhava. Advaita Vedanta emphasizes direct experiential knowledge over intellectual understanding. Through meditation and contemplation, practitioners may have direct experiences of egolessness and non-duality. These experiences provide profound insights, weakening the ego's hold and facilitating its dissolution. It's essential to note that the dissolution of the mind and ego is a nuanced and multifaceted process that can vary for each individual. The practices and teachings in Advaita Vedanta provide a holistic approach, guiding seekers towards the direct realization of their true nature beyond the limitations of the mind and ego. 1. Contemplation of unity, Aham Brahmasmi. The contemplation of the Mahavakya, great saying, Aham Brahma Asmi, meaning I am Brahma, is a profound practice in Advaita Vedanta. By meditating on this truth, practitioners dissolve the sense of individuality and realize their oneness with the ultimate reality Brahma. This practice helps weaken the ego's hold on the individual identity. 2. Annihilation of vasanas. Vasanas are the latent impressions or tendencies in the mind that influence thoughts and actions. Advaita Vedanta teaches the annihilation of vasanas through self-discipline, meditation, and selfless service. By eradicating these deep-rooted tendencies, practitioners free themselves from the ego's compulsions and conditioning. 3. Mindfulness and awareness. Practicing mindfulness and cultivating awareness in every moment help individuals observe the activities of the mind objectively. By being aware of thoughts, emotions, and reactions as they arise, individuals develop distance from the mind's fluctuations. This awareness weakens the identification with the egoic mind. 4. Sankalpa and Vichara. Sankalpa is resolution and Vichara is inquiry. Practitioners in Advaita Vedanta use resolution and self-inquiry to penetrate the layers of the mind and ego by questioning the nature of reality and the self. Individuals deconstruct the ego's illusions and arrive at the understanding of non-duality. 5. Yoga and Pranayama. The practice of yoga postures, asanas, and breath control pranayama purifies the body and mind. A purified body and calm mind are conducive to deep meditation and self-inquiry. Regular yoga and pranayama practices prepare the ground for the dissolution of the ego by calming the restless mind. 6. Gratitude and surrender. Practicing gratitude and surrendering to the divine are powerful methods in Advaita Vedanta. By cultivating gratitude for every experience and surrendering the ego's sense of control to a higher power, individuals acknowledge the interconnectedness of all things and weaken the ego's dominance. 7. Nididhyasana, deep contemplation. Nididhyasana is the practice of deep contemplation on the teachings of Advaita Vedanta. By immersing oneself in the profound truths of non-duality, practitioners reinforce their understanding and weaken the ego's grip on the mind. Regular contemplation leads to the direct experience of the self beyond the ego. 8. Integration of bhakti, devotion and jnana knowledge. Bhakti and jnana are two paths in Advaita Vedanta. Bhakti emphasizes love and devotion to the divine, whereas jnana focuses on knowledge and wisdom. Integrating these paths, practitioners balance the heart and intellect, leading to a harmonious dissolution of the ego through love, wisdom, and devotion. It's important to note that these practices are often interwoven and personalized according to the aspirant's temperament and readiness. The guidance of a qualified guru is invaluable in Advaita Vedanta as the guru tailors the practices to the specific needs of the disciple, leading them on the path toward the dissolution of the mind and ego and the realization of the ultimate truth. 1. Awareness of the present moment. Mindfulness. Advaita Vedanta emphasizes the importance of being fully present in the moment. By cultivating mindfulness, individuals learn to observe thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. This awareness weakens the grip of the ego, which often thrives on dwelling in the past or worrying about the future. Satsang, company of truth. Being in the company of realized beings or spiritual teachers is considered a potent practice in Advaita Vedanta. The energy and wisdom of enlightened individuals can catalyze the dissolution of the ego in aspirants. Through interactions with such beings, practitioners observe their teachings and, in some cases, experience a direct transmission of spiritual knowledge leading to ego dissolution. 7. 3. Sarvatma Bhava, seeing the self in all. Sarvatma Bhava means seeing the self in all beings. Practicing empathy, compassion, and understanding towards other help dissolve the ego's boundaries. When individuals recognize the same consciousness in others that they identify within themselves, the ego's divisive tendencies diminish, leading to a more universal perspective. 4. Self-reflection and self-contemplation. Regular self-reflection and contemplation on one's thoughts, actions, and motivations facilitate self-awareness by questioning the nature of the self and exploring the source of thoughts and desires. Individuals can pierce through the layers of egoic identity, leading to a deeper understanding of the self beyond the mind and ego. 5. Dissolution through love. Unconditional love, especially divine love, bhakti, has the power to dissolve the ego. Devotees in Advaita Vedanta traditions often surrender their individuality to the divine, experiencing a profound sense of unity and love. Through intense love and devotion, the ego gradually dissolves, allowing the devotee to merge with the divine presence. 6. Non-attachment and renunciation. Advaita Vedanta teaches the practice of non-attachment, vairagya, and renunciation of material desires. By reducing attachment to possessions, relationships, and worldly achievements, individuals weaken the ego's identification with external things. Renunciation helps shift the focus inward, aiding to the dissolution of the ego. 7. Vichara, discriminating inquiry. Vichara involves discerning between the real and the unreal, the eternal and the temporary. Practitioners inquire into the nature of existence, questioning the reality of the ego and the mind. Through this discriminative inquiry, individuals realize the illusory nature of the ego, paving the way for its dissolution. 8. Aproksha Anubhuti, direct experience. Aproksha Anubhuti meaning direct realization refers to the direct experience of one's true nature. Through spiritual practices, contemplation, and grace, practitioners can have moments of direct experiential knowledge where the ego dissolves and the invisible nature of reality is directly perceived. It's important to emphasize that the dissolution of the mind and ego in Advaita Vedanta is a profound spiritual journey that requires consistent practice, self-inquiry, and the guidance of a qualified teacher. The methods and practice mentioned above are meant to guide aspirants on this transformative path towards the direct realization of the self beyond the limitations of the mind and ego. Let us discuss some more methods to eliminate ego and mind. 1. Self-surrender, Atam Samarpana. Surrendering the individual will and ego to the divine will is a potent practice by relinquishing the ego's need for control and trusting in the higher intelligence of the universe. Individuals experience a sense of surrender that leads to ego dissolution. 2. Silent awareness, Mauna, the practice of maintaining silence both externally and internally, is highly regarded. External silence involves restraining from unnecessary speech, while internal silence implies calming the mental chatter. In the stillness of silence, individuals can experience a profound sense of awareness beyond the egoic mind. 3. Seva, selfless service. Engaging in selfless service without any expectation of reward helps dissolve the ego. By putting others' needs before one's own and serving the community, individuals move beyond the self-centered ego, experiencing a sense of interconnectedness and oneness with all. 4. Integration of yoga path. Advaita Vedanta often integrates different paths of yoga such as Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion, Karma Yoga, the yoga of selfless action, and Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. Practicing these paths harmoniously helps balance the heart, mind, and actions, leading to a holistic dissolution of the ego. 5. Observing the I thought, Aham Vichara. Practitioners are encouraged to investigate the origin of the thought I or I am. By tracing the source of this fundamental thought, individuals can realize that the egoic identity is merely a mental constraint. Observing the I thought leads to the recognition of the formless egoless self. 6. Grace Anugraha. Grace plays a significant role in Advaita Vedanta. It is believed that the dissolution of the ego ultimately occurs through divine grace. Devotees often pray for grace from the Guru or the divine, acknowledging that the ego's dissolution is not solely a result of personal effort but also a divine blessing. 7. Integration of paradoxes. Advaita Vedanta often implies paradoxical statements such as you are already that which you seek to challenge the mind and ego. Meditating on these paradoxes can lead to a state of cognitive dissonance, breaking down the ego's rigid structure and allowing for a direct experience of non-duality. 8. Transcending concepts, nirvikalpa samadhi. In deep states of meditation and samadhi, the mind's conceptual thinking ceases. In the absence of thought, the ego dissolves and practitioners can experience a state of pure awareness, free from the limitations of the egoic mind. 9. Integration of rituals and symbolism. Advaita Vedanta often implies rituals, symbolism, and visualizations as tools to transcend the rational mind. These practices can evoke a sense of awe and reverence, facilitating an experiential understanding beyond the egoic intellect. It is important to note that the dissolution of the mind and ego in Advaita Vedanta is a subtle, nuanced process that unfolds differently for each individual. The practices and teachings are meant to guide seekers toward the direct realization of their true nature beyond the limitations of the mind and ego. ultimately leading to the experience of non-duality. Some examples of realized Hindu sages who did not feel pain and sorrow in real life. In Hindu tradition, there are several stories and instances where sages, ascetics, and enlightened beings are believed to have transcended pain and sorrow due to their spiritual realization and inner peace. While these stories are part of the Hindu mythology and may not be scientifically proven, they are revered in the religious and spiritual context. Here are a few examples. 1. Ramakrishna Paramhansa. Ramakrishna was a 19th century Indian mystic and spiritual leader who is said to have experienced states of intense bliss and communion with the divine. He often remained in deep states of meditation and samadhi, where he was believed to be free from physical pain and sorrow. 2. Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi was a renowned sage and jnani, self-realized being who lived in the early 20th century. He radiated immense peace and tranquility and is regarded as a beacon of enlightenment. It is said that he transcended physical pain and suffering through his deep self-realization. 3. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Nisargadatta Maharaj was a spiritual teacher and philosopher in the Advaita Vedanta tradition. He emphasized the importance of understanding one's true nature beyond the physical body and mind, leading to liberation from suffering. 4. Swami Shivananda. Swami Shivananda was a Hindu spiritual teacher and proponent of yoga and Vedanta. He founded the Divine Life Society in Rishikesh, India, and his teachings emphasize the practice of yoga, meditation, and selfless service as paths to spiritual realization and freedom from pain and sorrow. Anand Mahima. Anand Mahima was a spiritual leader and saint from Bengal, India, known for her profound spirituality and divine presence. Devotees believed that she was always in a state of bliss and did not experience pain or sorrow due to her deep spiritual realization. It is important to note that these accounts are based on religious beliefs and may vary according to different interpretations and sects within Hinduism. The concept of enlightened beings transcending pain and sorrow is a common theme in many spiritual traditions, not limited to Hinduism. A few more examples of realized Hindu sages and saints who are believed to have transcended pain and sorrow due to their spiritual enlightenment. 1. Paramhansa Yogananda. Yogananda was a renowned yogi and spiritual teacher who, who introduced millions of Westerners to teachings of meditation and Kriya Yoga through his book Autobiography of a Yogi. He is believed to have attained a high state of spiritual realization leading to freedom from physical suffering. 2. Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo was a philosopher, yogi, and poet who emphasized the concept of integral yoga, aiming for the spiritual transformation of all aspects of an individual's being. His followers believe that he attained a state of consciousness beyond pain and sorrow through his spiritual practices. 3. Neem Karoli Baba, also known as Maharaj Ji. Neem Karoli Baba was a Hindu guru, mystic and devotee of the Hindu deity Hanuman. He was known for his unconditional love, compassion and miracles. His devotees often reported that he appeared to be untouched by physical pain or suffering. 4. Shirdi Sai Baba. Shirdi Sai Baba was a revered saint and spiritual master who lived in the town of Shirdi in Maharashtra, India during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He is considered an incarnation of God by his followers and is believed to have performed miracles and alleviated the sufferings of his devotees. 5. Mata Amritanandmayi Amma. Mata Amritanandmayi, often simply referred to as Amma, is a contemporary Hindu spiritual leader known for her humanitarian work and her ability to transmit love and compassion. Devotees believe that her divine presence and blessings can heal physical and emotional pain. It is important to approach these accounts with cultural and religious sensitivity, understand, understanding that beliefs in the transcendent nature of these sages are matters of faith and devotion within the respective religious communities. At this point, I complete this video. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you. Namaste.